Indivisible Lehigh Valley Bethlehem is a newly launched regional grassroots volunteer organization affiliated with the network of nationwide affiliates of Indivisible.org. This is our monthly meeting podcast episode.
Okay, folks, I'm going to bring the meeting to order. Let me tell you a little bit about Spencer, which, has quite an impressive resume. He's, as I said, he's a member of our group, but he also runs votewise.org. I would encourage you to go online and look at it. It's a nonpartisan, nonprofit website that connects voters, organizations, and politicians without advertising dollars. And it makes it easier for communities to find common ground and the tools they need to identify problems, find sustainable solutions that work for all, and put those solutions into action. So that's one of the hats that he wears. Spencer's also a filmmaker and a sculptor who delves into a lot of other art forms. He was always interested in both science and art, working both sides of the brain. This allows him to see connections that other people don't. He started studying aeronautical and mechanical engineering at Purdue. As I said to him this morning, it's too bad that he has such a pretty face, but not much going on in the intellect department. He later apprenticed under Jordan Cronenweth, who was the director of photography for the movie Blade Runner. And also he worked directly with the director, David Finch. Let me see. And he constructed sculptures for Alice Aycock. So he is both an artist in form and an artist in media. And he has produced a number of feature films and had numerous gallery shows and is now using his skills to help humanity wherever possible. So that's why he's here. Spencer received awards for his documentaries, including Brainwashed, which is currently streaming, a 5-part series. I highly recommend go look at it. It's streaming on Amazon Prime, and the Brainwashed, he's going to be focusing on political brainwashing and how to identify it. But the whole series goes through a bunch of different, types of brainwashing, basically. So without further ado, I'm going to hand things over to Spencer. And thank you all so much for coming out today. I think we're going to be in for a really engaging presentation.
All right. So, thank you for coming out. So just quickly, brainwashing techniques are used on all of us all the time. Some of that brainwashing techniques is used for you to change the way you think about things. Some of it is used to have you avoid thinking about things. For example, all right, this shirt, I don't know, let's say $30. This $15, $30. Let's say all my clothes put together is $120, right? So now in third world nations, it takes 50 cents a day to feed someone. It takes 40 days to starve to death. So if you total that up, my $120 of clothes is the lives of 3 people. Do we think about that? No, because we've been brainwashed not to think about that. So now when we talk about politics, the Democrats and Republicans as human beings, as voters, are much, much more similar to each other than we believe. But the political parties and other organizations have very intentionally split a divide between us and said, okay, you're going this way and you are going this way.
They take away their humanity and reduce them to a black and white simple stereotype, an enemy. Let's look at politics as an example. Whether intentionally or not, the political parties have become more and more like cults. Everyone is expected to toe their party line, act alike, have the same talking points, and keep with their own kind. In the 1970s, Congress voted along party lines only 60% of the time. And now they vote along party lines over 90%. It's gotten to the point where the individual politician almost doesn't matter anymore. The label matters more. Pick any Democrat or Republican politician, and you pretty much know how they're going to vote, even when it makes no sense. Laws are quickly and poorly written without taking into consideration everyone's needs. It becomes like a two-team spectator sport where winning is all that counts, at all cost. Beating the enemy is more important than helping the people. Think about your own friends and how your respect for them changed when you found out which side they were on. The lowest and most common form of thought-terminating cliche is the label. Once you label people, further thought ends and the walls go up. The more those labels become a part of life, the taller those walls become.
Build that wall! Build that wall! Build that wall!
Okay, so different techniques are used on liberals versus conservatives because they think differently. So let's get into a little bit into how they think differently. I'm not talking about political liberals and political conservatives. I'm talking about psychologically liberal and psychologically conservative. So the difference is we have labeled certain beliefs as being conservative and other certain beliefs as being liberal. However, the definition of liberal and conservative is conservative people tend towards doing things the tried and true ways. And anything that is new, not a big fan of. Anything that is foreign, not a big fan of. In the meantime, liberals are more open to new ideas, and they are less attracted to things that have been done before. So if you take those two extremes, then we would have conservatives living in caves and liberals, dying because we were, trying to rebuild a house during a hurricane. Those are extremes, right? Society needs both in order to function and continue to grow, right? But we have been divided intentionally for political reasons. So when you're thinking about how to influence both, now keep in mind that none of us are purely conservative, purely liberal. We have those tendencies in all of us. And if you instill fear into someone, they are more likely to go back into conservative. If you make someone feel comfortable, they're more likely to go into liberal. So if you bring someone to a new restaurant and then something looks weird, they're like, I'll try the old thing. But if someone else in front of them tries it and they trust that person, they're like, I'll try that. And that opens things up. So when they're trying to influence conservatives, the biggest thing is make them scared so that they are more conservative, and then focus on nostalgia, things that are from their past. Now, when you do this, you can try rewriting history so that the past isn't really the past, it is the past that the people who are trying to persuade you of things are using. And if you're trying to convert or persuade a liberal, then what you're going to do is say, okay, we have this imagined future. Don't think about the consequences. Think about this imagined utopia, and don't think about the consequences. All right? So here you go. Here's an example of changing the past. So Democrats used to burn crosses in the yards of blacks to intimidate them. Now Democrats burn Teslas in the owners' yards for the same reason. Nothing has changed about the Democrat Party in over a century. The tactic is still the same. So now if you're looking at the name Democrat, yes, absolutely. Back in... So let's see. So during FDR's age, the Democrats were Southern, but everyone loved FDR. So when the next guy came in, Truman, he was like, okay, well, was that? Yes, Truman, thank you. They're like, okay, well, Truman's not so popular, but so how can we, as the party, grab onto more votes? So there's like, okay, well, this whole New Deal thing worked out, so let's try supporting unions, and that kind of worked out. So let's try to support human rights, and then so during the civil rights, the people like the South used to be Democrat, they went Republican, and the North that was Republican went Democrat. Same people, same similar beliefs. It's just the names changed. So when they go back to this, it makes it appear as if the same human beings, and lineage a century ago were doing these atrocities, and they're continuing the same pattern. It's a way of changing the past. Now there's other things that are more, fudging the lines a lot more. All right, labels and thought process. So what are some labels you guys can think of? Democrat?
Democrat.
Okay, what else? MAGA, okay. What else?
I was going to say maggots, but...
Maggots, okay, good. So now, once again, maggots, is that an attractive thing? Do you want to hang out with a maggot? No. So this is a way of separating, saying this person is not a full human being. This is a label. I can't have a conversation with a label. I don't want to deal with maggots. So once again, this is divide. So if you can come up with labels, you can divide your groups and turn them into groups instead of human beings with unique thoughts. Okay, so there are ways of dividing people physically and ways of dividing people through communication. So think about some physical examples of dividing. Color. Okay, so I'm talking more about how do you physically divide people so that they don't end up in the same location. Build a wall. Excellent. What else? Redlining. Excellent. Having black and white fountains. So if you have the people separated that way, they don't talk to each other. You don't become a real human being to that person. Right? You can oppress someone if you don't know who they are. You can also separate them by having meetings that are only meant for one party. So, do we have many MAGA supporters here? Probably not. And that's true of most political meetings. We don't talk to each other. We talk in our insular things, and we continue to develop that antagonistic relationship towards each other. Divide communication. Okay, so how are we divided through communication?
Facebook algorithms.
Excellent.
Social media.
Excellent. Anyone else?
CNN and Fox.
Excellent. So we used to have this thing called the fairness doctrine. So way back when we didn't have internet all across the nation, we had radio stations. Now, if you were in, the lower corners of the United States, somewhere that was out in the boondocks, you might only have one radio station. So the government was like, all right, well, this could get nuts if we have these, pools of people who are totally indoctrinated by whatever propaganda that one station is putting out. So they created something called the fairness doctrine. If you wanted to have a broadcast license, you had to show, equal sides to the argument, right? Now, in the 80s, they came out with cable TV. They're like, oh my God, we have 120 channels, right? We don't need the fairness doctrine anymore because people could just tune around and they could find things, and of course they're going to bounce around and they're going to see both sides or all sides of all arguments just by bouncing around. But that ignores human nature, which is we like to get comfortable with things. We get into patterns. This is part of our conservative attitude. That is part of everyone. Where it's Friday night. We do our Friday night thing. We tune into our favorite shows. We don't bounce around a ton. Once we find something we like, we stick with it. So that started the divide between people who were indoctrinated one way and people who were indoctrinated another way. Now, the next step in that divide was a gentleman named Newt Gingrich. So what Newt Gingrich did was he said, all right, when we try explaining our side of the argument, it doesn't come out so good. We come across sounding really selfish. So what we need to do is we need to orchestrate exactly how we're going to say things, and we all say it the same way. Talking points, absolutely. And that, during the reign of a certain guy in the 1930s and 40s in, part of Europe, one of the things they did was say, if you repeat a lie often enough, it becomes the truth. So at the same time, we had this, businessman coming in from, I think it was not Australia, New Zealand. Yes, thank you. And he ran all these papers that were very much into sensationalist news. Page 6 girls, that kind of thing, And he's like, okay, I want to start I want to, have this news station where we have this dramatic stuff. And he wanted free reign to do whatever he wanted to. And he found that the Republicans were very nice in terms of letting him do what he wanted to do and saying, all right, well, you can build a conglomerate of news agencies when we won't bother, your monopoly there. Like generally speaking, before that, the Democrats were very much into breaking up big organizations. That has changed, unfortunately. So he started coordinating with Newt Gingrich, and then when they would work on the talking points together, so we have Fox News broadcasting the talking points again and again and again, the same exact words from the newscast. Now there's. I should say not the newscasters. They'd always have like 1 hour during the day of news that was okay. It wasn't insane, but the rest of the day would be pundits talking about opinions. And of course, because it's an opinion, you could say whatever you wanted to. So that became, their thing. And of course, Rupert Murdoch wanting to get more audiences, he's like, all right, if we spread fear, they'll tune in. So it's like there's something going to kill you in your closet. News at 11, right? So that worked for him, and it also worked for the Republican Party because it turned off the critical thinking of a lot of people and locked them into the words that they were told. So if you have a fire, it spreads fear, right? Now, if you have one person who seems confident and they run for the door, most people are going to follow that person because they know what they're doing. The critical mind turns off and you follow the leader. That is what fear does, and that's the main technique that they were using. Okay, so they want, in order to control people, they have to make sure that there's no communication between the left and the right. All right, and one of the ways of doing that is redefining the language. So, for example, alternative facts. Another one was misinformation just means information they don't like. So they're trying to redefine the word misinformation. Now, this is used a lot by any cult organization, and actually is used by anyone who's trying to manipulate you. It's not used by all people who are manipulating you. These techniques that I'm talking about, they just work. And there's a lot of people who have not studied these techniques, but use them. They've used it throughout their life, and they discover these on their own. Maybe that they are a selfish person, and they found, that every time they're trying to manipulate someone, they learn from that experience. If it's successful, they're like, got to use that again. It doesn't take a genius to use brainwashing techniques, and if you're a genius, you could still easily be influenced. Okay, so repeat the lie often enough and it becomes truth. We talked about this. All right, so demonize media and other communication. So the media isn't silent on child sex trafficking because of the children. It's because of who the customers are. Read that again. All right? Oh, you get your news from Fox Television? Do you get your stock tips from Food Network? So what the media wants you to believe, it's one red guy in the middle of a blue sea, and the reality, and it shows a map of the United States where it's almost all red with a few little dots of blue. If they had Fox News in 1865, is slavery bad? 100% Negro employment. Known fact that slaves are better off as slaves. Most slaves prefer being slaves. Freeing the slaves would actually endanger them. If you repeat a lie often enough, it becomes, and they cross out truth and put down journalism. All right, so you see that some of that stuff was from the left and some of that stuff was from the right. Okay, so demonize the enemy. Think of them as evil, stupid, unattractive, lecherous. Create craven images. So first off, what are some stereotypes you have about right-wingers? Is that?
No, I'm saying what?
About MAGA followers or right-wingers.
What are stereotypes about MAGA followers?
Yeah.
That they're crude.
Crude, okay.
They're brainwashed.
Racist.
They're brainwashed.
Racist.
Racist.
Uneducated.
Uneducated. Cruel. Transphobic. What else do we have? Misogynist. Okay. So now they have the similar things about us. So we look at racism, all right? So they say, all right, the affirmative action, that is racist against white people, right? They talk about the what's going on in Israel and Palestine as if you're against Israel, then you are anti-Semitic, right? Prejudice, right? In terms of misogynistic, they say, all right, well, we're encouraging people for men to beat up women in sports. They say that's misogynistic. What was the other one? Brainwashed. So everything, they see these same messages that you guys do. It's just, they see, the left, one version versus the other version. All right. What was the other one? I forget. Uneducated. All right. So they are saying that we're not being educated in college, we're being indoctrinated. All right. So they say that scientists are lying to us, and we're believing it. Grooming. Yes, grooming is another one. So they're saying that the left is child molesters, and that we are grooming young kids, and we are hiding them in basements and doing all sorts of horrible things to them. QAnon, yes, thank you. Here's some craven images. So it helps to often have an image of your opponent that you repeat again and again and again in order to put that brainwashing technique and make it visual. So here's from World War II, right? Like nowadays you'd be like, oh my God, this is so messed up. So, but this is their, okay, so leftists are, what's that? They're terrible. They panic about stupidest things. Bedwetters, yes. Angry, yes. Vicious. Snowflakes. Hysterical. Well, yeah, and then once again, the history of hysterical was, it's a women, right? Okay, so now this is an image of someone from MAGA. So we see that they have the Confederate flag. So of course we associate the Confederate flag with racism. Of course they associate the Confederate flag with fighting the powers that be. All right. So for them, it is a sign of independence, of being an individual fighting against oppression. And for us, it is a symbol of racism. All right. Here's Welcome to Canada, and it has a whole bunch of people with blue hair. Once again, blue hair is one of the icons they use for leftist people. And notice the line is mostly women too. Of course, it's photoshopped. That's. And then Meal Team 6. So the left promotes this idea that these people are very much into playing with military toys and thinking they're tough, and they're just overweight losers. All right. Says, I hate your hat is offensive, and he says, "Make America Great." He's wearing a flag, and she has open season on Musk on her shirt.
Does anyone ever actually see that T-shirt? No.
All right, here's another one. Was it Gravy Seals was another one. There's a third one. I forget. What's that? Semper Pi was another one. Okay, once again, blue hair, hair over above the lip, a woman. So, overweight, buying every single piece of MAGA property. Okay, so vicious comedy. So comedy is used in culture as a way of dealing with stress. So basically, things are funny because they are uncomfortable in a safe place. If you make something uncomfortable in a dangerous place, it's no longer funny. If it's not mildly uncomfortable, then it's not funny. So sometimes comedy is used to take something that they feel is dangerous and diffuse it. All right? Sometimes it is used to vilify. So vicious comedy is used by both sides. Trump, the art of the kneel. Government agencies trying to hide their waste from Doge. Can I ask you a stupid question? Better than anyone I know. Don't call me anti-vaxxer. The name is Mrs. Doubtpfizer.
No.
Another technique is to simplify and dismiss the concerns of the opponent. So this is, you could tell, it says, Republican platform is free enterprise, secure borders, honest elections, real journalism, ethical judiciary, civil rights, moral standards, personal liberty, and for Democrat platform, hate Trump. Cows for mission equality. Stop the Green New Deal. Support the right of cows to fart. My fart, my choice. Okay, so accuse the other side of basic moral failings. So we talked about this a little bit. We said we're talking about racism and prejudice on both sides, victimizing the defenseless. So now, so let's think of a few examples for victimizing the defenseless, both sides.
Welfare queens.
Welfare queens. Okay, what else? Immigrants. Yes. What else? You have a thought?
No.
Okay. All right, so go for it.
That women are defenseless and we have to protect them from transgender people coming in the bathrooms or whatever, things like that.
Okay. What else? Who else talk about victimizing the defenseless?
Think of the children.
Think of the children. Okay.
They're going to eat my pets.
They're going to eat my pets. That's a very good one. Yes. All right. So from the one side, we're worried about them going after our kids not getting proper education. We're worried about people being deported, people deported who are actual citizens. We're worried about all of our rights being taken away. But and for their side, they're worried about kids being kidnapped and molested. They're worried about their version of women being destroyed. MS-13, excellent. All right. So for every time you think, they are attacking our defenseless people, they have a similar perception of you guys. Now, if you had conversations, a lot of that could be diffused. Doomsday event. Okay, so doomsday events are very big in cult-like thinking. It is create some really, really scary thing and have it happen sometime relatively soon, and that makes people jump to action right away. So what's a doomsday event for the left and for the right?
Climate change.
Climate change. Excellent. What's that? They're coming for my guns. Excellent. Biden's going to crash the economy. Right? Next week is going to crash. Biden's going to crash the economy. Okay.
How about January 6th actually happened, though? It wasn't a doomsday event. It was an actual doomsday event.
All right, so January 6th. So now the people going in who are trying to break in and take over the government were thinking that that the elections were no longer valid, that their real president had been stolen from them, and they were thinking, we got to fight to bring him back. So their doomsday was there's no such thing as democracy, and they believed that, and that's what they were acting on. All right, so it's like when you put yourself in their shoes, if you truly thought that elections were entirely rigged, would you want to fix that? Yeah, you would. All right. So, and if you for however many months were told that it was going to be rigged, and then you saw it rigged in their eyes, what would you do? All right. Once again, communication is key. Weapons of mass
destruction.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, in Iraq. So that got us in as an excuse to go there. Fear. We talked about that. There's fear is a big way of turning off people's brains and motivating them. Hope is a good way to get people to endure and to persevere. Fear is a great way to get people to get in lockstep and jump into action right away. Now, it's hard to maintain fear. So what you have to do is you have to constantly have a little bit of release valve. So every now and again, if you're promoting fear, every now and again you have to say, we had a victory. And then 2 days later, this other thing. So in the case of the right, for example, they would occasionally put out things saying they caught 100 child molesters and put them in jail or whatever else. So here's a fear thing. This is, I hope we can still all be friends even if we end up in different concentration camps. It took Democrats less than 3 months to turn to domestic terrorism. And we have someone who's Muslim going from door to door to door with different countries' labels on them, and then first each one is burning is holding torch. We're just here to pick your fruits and vegetables. And it has people with heavy tattoos that they're presumably gang members. There's a slippery slope. So let's get married. Let us get married, bake our cake, use our pronouns, allow minors to dance for us in drag, let teachers choose our kids' gender, normalize pedophilia. Your Disney subscription is funding satanic pedophilia. Okay, next one is, I'm a unique thinker. The other side is brainwashed. I am brave, they are weak. So question to ChatGPT, if you were going to take over society and keep humanity from reaching its full light potential, how do you do it? ChatGPT's response, encourage mindless entertainment over education, limit access to knowledge, spread misinformation. 2, encourage division, use propaganda to amplify social and political divides, exploit cultural tensions. 3, undermining critical thinking, encourage surface-level thinking and emotional reactiveness, minimize education and logic and philosophy. 4, foster dependency, promote dependence on technology and centralized systems that are monitored, create economic dependency. 5, erode personal and spiritual growth, downplay individual purpose, personal development, and subdue creative expression. So all that's true. But it's promoted both sides thinking that they are unique in posting this. There are 2 ways to be fooled. One is to believe what isn't true. The other is to refuse to believe what is true. Once again, posted by both sides. Tomorrow's is April Fool's Day. Believe nothing and trust no one, just like any other day. Not knowing the truth makes you ignorant. Not wanting to know the truth is what makes you stupid. I don't follow the crowd, I walk through them. So here's from one of the parties. A bunch of rich people convincing poor people to vote for rich people by telling the poor people that other rich people are the reason they're poor. Who said that?
Democratic Party.
The Republican Party. So once again, a lot of people, on both sides of the aisle feel the same way, the same exact way, but they are being told that they're different. They're being told they have to fight each other because of this difference, this fictional difference. Another technique is false conclusions. This is typically coincidence equals causality. So now it's saying like if these 2 things happened, that they must be, that one caused the other. So this one is, in 1979, I created the Department of Education. Since then, America went from 1st to 24th in education. Once again, inferring that the cause of the decline in education was the Department of Education. There's another one is so obvious, even a child knows it. Evolution is a scientific fact. No, it's not. It's a system based on beliefs about nature, not proof. Save the planet or you'll regret it. All right, so we had Greta, I forget her last name,
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Thunberg? Okay, so she was being promoted as the voice of the Democratic Party for the environmental parts of the Democratic Party for a while, which made no sense. But that's one of the brainwashing techniques. False relationships tool. Share if you think that homeless veterans should come before migrants. Now, do you believe that those 2 are related to each other? No, we could work on both those problems. But because we care about people who've risked their lives for us, this is a very popular one. Like this false relationship is done a lot, but it's done a lot especially with veterans. No American should go hungry or homeless while billions of our dollars are sent overseas. No welfare benefits for illegal immigrants while we have 47,000 homeless veterans. Share if you agree. How do we have so much money for wars but not enough money to feed and house our homeless vets? And we can see that this is not just America. There's other countries using the same memes. Tell me again how spending $4.5 billion to bring Syrians here is better than spending $4.5 billion to house every homeless vet. Feed 10,000 Syrian rebels. How about taking care of 50,000 homeless veterans instead? The big lie. So the big lie is if you make a lie big enough, people think that there must be some truth to it. So if you're in the hospital and I come to you and say, I'm the best doctor, best brain surgeon in the entire world, you're like, okay, there's some bullshit in there. Maybe he's the best doctor in this hospital, or he's I think pretty good anyway. Meanwhile, I could be the janitor, but she believes that I'm a great doctor because that huge lie. Now, the big lie is used a lot. And then also endless barrage of lies. So if you are dealing with a single drip coming down from the ceiling, you could patch it. But if your enemy is coming at you from 50 sides, there's no way you can approach it all. So you're overwhelmed. There's no way for you to fact check all the lies coming down. So Trump won his appeal against the 34 felony counts you liberals like to throw out, dropped the 34 charges and got his money back. Notice not one single media site is talking about it, because it's not true.
Trump has issued an executive order to make it illegal to accuse the president of lying. Trump said, quote, I have a social media platform called Truth. Anytime I put anything on it, whether it's true or not, it then becomes true. Trump went on to say that if you do accuse him of lying, you could face up to 10 years in prison and a $1 million fine. Breaking news out of the...
Is that true? No. While Barack Obama was in office, the Venezuelan government donated, in quotes, donated $22.9 million to build an apartment for his personal use on top of his presidential library. Not one Democrat batted an eye, because it didn't happen. Okay, now there is, it's not just people who are intending to brainwash you. There's also accidental brainwashing.
Who can create these destructive environments. Sometimes they're created by something as simple as a software program intended to get you to buy more things. YouTube, Facebook, Google search engine, and countless other platforms use software intended to keep you entertained and buying things. They do this by monitoring where you click and then provide you with more of whatever that was. So if you click on a post that says, a celebrity you know is secretly a man, then you will start seeing more celebrity scandal stuff in your feed. The more you click on it, the more your feed is filled with it. As your feed fills with craziness, only the next level of craziness can possibly catch your eye. So you click on that, and your feed becomes crazier and crazier until every news piece you read is talking about celebrities eating aliens from outer space in order to stay youthful looking. Your perception of celebrities and the world becomes entirely changed. If a friend of yours says they love a celebrity that you know in your heart of hearts eats aliens, your perception of your friend is totally destroyed.
How could she like him? How could she ignore all the articles? What's wrong with her?
Your old friend gets cut off and you find new ones. The same thing happens with politics and everything else. The only comments you see from social media are things that fire you up. Sex and fear sell. And selling is their reason for existence. To create fear, you must create an enemy. Battle lines are drawn, walls are raised, old friends are abandoned, new ones are created. Your new friends become amplification room for crazier and crazier ideas. And then, of course, other businesses, seeing these large pools of people, create media to win over that audience, and the cycle repeats. Once you've started down a path with your clicks, that becomes a part of your history, And every search result, every page you see, everything presented to you will be influenced by it. In the movie The Matrix, the main character was given the choice to take the red pill and discover the truth, or take the blue pill and continue down the path of lies. This mirrors reality, except in the real world, you don't know that you're making that choice, and almost all the pills are blue. You may think, well, I can use incognito mode and start my life fresh, then see the world as others do. Nope. Contrary to popular belief, incognito mode doesn't make you invisible to the web. You're still tracked. Your searches just aren't saved to your local computer, the one you're typing on. Well, maybe I can change my search engines. Not so fast. A lot of search engines share information and technology. Some engines search other engines. At the time of the making of this film, there are a few engines that don't save your histories, like DuckDuckGo, but don't expect to be able to go to these same search engines forever. When any business is successful, others tend to buy them out. Sometimes they continue under the same name, but their assets are shared or replaced by the parent corporation. And of course, if the software isn't saving your history of clicks, then it must use some other way to rank your results, trying to give you what you want first instead of 20 pages down the list. Who is making this choice? Can they be trusted, or are they just another blue pill? Constant vigilance is required. Change your technology and your sources often. If it's something important, check multiple sources.
All right. So you fact check, and so long as you're fact checking, the computer knows that it's you, it's going to give you the result you want. What makes things worse is now with AI. AI currently has written 50% of the text-based information on the internet. By the end of next year, it's projected to be over 90%. So now, if you guys know, AI is not concerned with the truth, it's concerned with clicks. So in a year, unless we change legislation, it might be impossible, really impossible, to know anything that has not been printed in a book today or before. Okay, deprogramming. Okay, so we have a big problem. How do we solve it? So first I want to talk about, or we're going to show you a little video on how to do it with loved ones, and then we'll talk about, how do you do it like when you're out on the street doing canvassing.
It won't be easy. Don't get frustrated. Everyone is different, but here's a few steps that have worked for a lot of people. Step 1, look at your own motives. Are you trying to help them have a healthy, happy life and contribute positively to society? Or are you trying to convince the person to change over to your point of view? Some people are quite happy living a lie. Does thinking the sun revolves around the earth instead of the other way around really make a difference in their day-to-day life? If you don't take their well-being as the number one consideration, then they're probably going to feel manipulated. You're going to fail, and you're probably going to do more harm than good. Step 2, re-establish trust. First off, trust is incredibly important. If you don't have that, everything you say will be seen as an attack. So make sure you do whatever you need to do to rebuild that relationship before you try to help them out of the cult-like thinking. Before someone has been indoctrinated, pointing out brainwashing techniques is very useful. But afterwards, it can work against you. No one likes being called brainwashed. It's like calling them stupid. Likewise, don't use the word cult. Don't insult them. Try to stay positive. If everything that comes out of your mouth is negative, they won't want to talk to you. Just let them know you love them. Find common ground that you can agree on. Don't lie to them. Let me say that again. Don't lie to them. If your number one selling point is that their brainwashers are lying to them, then you can't turn around and do the same exact thing. Don't paint your side of things in rosier colors than they actually are. You need to build trust. Don't try to win the debate. Listen to them. Follow their logic and ask questions that help them see their position from a different angle. In order for people to exist in our day-to-day lives, we have to take some things for granted as facts. For example, if you didn't trust that the sidewalk was solid, then you would have to test each and every step you took to make sure you didn't fall through. It would be impossible to get to work, get your groceries, and everything else necessary for survival. We need to have things we can rely on. Having that foundation makes us feel safe and allows us to live our lives. If one of our convictions becomes tested, we see that as an exception and double down on the things that make us feel safe. For example, if your wife was your most trusted foundation and some woman at work said that your wife was cheating on you, something you believe couldn't possibly be true, you'd probably think that coworker was trying to break up your marriage, to create drama, or steal you for her own. Your trust of your coworker would be destroyed, and your bubble would shrink around your wife. You would form a them versus us mentality. In the same vein, stating facts to a loved one who is brainwashed may actually be counterproductive. They may perceive it as an attack, and they will double down and get deeper and deeper into their cult. Step 3. Understand their point of view. Ask for permission to ask them questions. If they don't give you permission, you're doing an interrogation, not a conversation, and you're just pushing them away. Work on establishing trust and closeness first. Without being judgmental, listen to their point of view. Put it in your own words and repeat it back to them in a way that they agree. Remember, part of their brainwashing may have involved redefining the language. So you should have them define words for you, and your conversation should embrace those definitions rather than your own, or the conversation won't make much sense. Step 4. Find out how confident they are in their point of view. Have them rate on a scale of 1 to 10 how convinced they are of the issue. Step 5. Explore their reasoning. Ask why that confidence number isn't higher or lower. This will tell you why they think the way they do and where they might have doubts. Both are great areas of exploration. Ask them to explain to you, without skipping any details, how and why their thought process changed to the way it is now. Be truly interested. Cults often rely on drama to skip over inconvenient facts. So give your loved one time to think through the logic carefully, one step at a time, making sure to skip nothing. This will help them realize on their own where there might be flaws. Find out what methods they're using to evaluate things as true or false. Ask if that same method could be used to get entirely different results. No one wants to be wrong, so don't make it about that. They're going to feel uncomfortable questioning their own logic, so you have to turn that around and make them feel comfortable enough to continue. Don't make it a stressful situation. Stress causes them to be more conservative and go back to what they know, the cult. Realize that you may not like their conclusion, but there is some kernel of truth in it, something that gives them comfort. Step 6. Share stories. Tell stories to each other about individuals who are affected by that issue. This isn't about numbers, it's about personal impact. Do not be judgmental. It's a way that you could bond over that issue and add impact. The things that stick most in our minds are emotions. I'll give you an example. In high school, your math teacher beat into your heads, a squared plus b squared equals... Do you remember? How about, Luke, I am your... The first one has an actual application in real life, so you can figure out distances, how to cut wood or sheetrock correctly. The second one is completely useless in day-to-day life, but it sank into your memory without constant repetition because it had an emotional meaning. And like it or not, emotional meaning has more importance to us than actual facts. Bonding over your stories, even if you disagree with each other, helps build relationships. Most people leave cults not because of intellectual disagreements. There are other reasons that physically or emotionally separate them first, and this provides the crack that can be widened later. Step 7. Wash, rinse, repeat. By now your loved one will be intellectually and emotionally connected and perhaps a bit exhausted. Thank them for an awesome conversation. Remind them you love them and end the conversation on that high note. Revisit your motivations and remind yourself why you're doing this to make sure that you're still being true to yourself and your loved one. Go through steps 1 through 7 again and again every few weeks or months until you think that your loved one is not defensive about their cult anymore. Step 8. Talk about the techniques. Without calling out their cult, talk about the techniques used in this documentary. Ask your loved one if they've ever seen these techniques used anywhere else. Tell them a story of how you saw these techniques being used not by their cult, but by someone else. Ask them to tell you a story about how they saw these techniques being used somewhere. Telling stories helps them think about these techniques and makes them more aware of what the cult is doing to them. Step 9. Repeat steps 1 through 8 until you feel they have a healthy relationship with themselves and the world at large. Pointing at brainwashing techniques can slowly show the flaws in their bubble. Their bubble may never pop, but it may expand enough to include other possibilities. Work on your friends and work on yourself. It's unfortunately not an easy thing to fight. The techniques described in this film are used by just about everyone. Religions. Business. Let's stop right here for a moment. If you learn nothing else, remember this. Don't get upset, ask questions. Hearing your loved ones say or send something crazy will upset you. Even online strangers will piss you off. Take a moment. Don't get upset. Ask questions. This is the moment that will set the tone for the next few years. Don't get upset. Ask questions. Your battle to save your loved one may be lost or won in this moment. Stay calm. Don't get upset. Ask questions. Whether you're talking to your dad or some random keyboard warrior, it may be fun to show how wrong they are. But if they're brainwashed, no amount of proof is going to win them over. Don't get upset. Ask questions. Okay, back to the film. The techniques described in this film are used by just about everyone. Religions, business.
Okay, so what's the first thing you might do when you run into someone who massively disagrees with you?
Don't get upset.
Don't get upset. Ask questions. Excellent. Okay. So that's true whether you are canvassing or whether you're talking to loved ones. If you could find that common bond, like we talked before, in other meetings, people have talked before about reclaiming the flag. I personally am a very patriotic person, so I would feel very comfortable wearing the flag. And then, so if I were to talk to someone from the other side, we bond on that right away. They could see that, something visible. All right, but everyone has something in common with everyone else. Whether that's we enjoy fresh air, we love some of our relatives, we hate some of our other relatives. So we have things in common. Now, a lot of people who are coming to, like if you're going to a protest, there's going to be counter protesters coming by. So what do they want? They want to reaffirm for themselves that you guys are the enemy. Don't let them do that. Go over there, find common ground, listen to them, treat them as a real human being, and they will treat you as a real human being. There's this thing that called reflection, where if you are really angry and I show calmness, you're going to feel weird for being angry. So you're going to calm down. Likewise, if I get angry, you are going to feel weird about being calm. So you're going to get angry back. Use that. Be calm. Think. Don't get upset. Ask questions. All right. Do we have any more time for anything? Any questions? Okay. All right. So you have questions? Yes.
Kind of an example, because I got stuck recently.
Okay.
And what I did is I went like, they're not getting my money anymore, But anyway, I was in a class. I was taking a class unrelated to anything, it was a knitting class. And the instructor said, oh, I'm so worried about what's going on in schools. These kids from like elementary school to college, they're all being trained, in Islam, and they're all going to kill us. And I turned to her and said, you think children are being taught to kill us? Well, yeah, they're going to kill the Christians, And I said, wow, where'd you get that information from? She said, I know what's going on in the schools. And I didn't know where to go with that. I just no more money for you. But she was angry, and I did. What do you do when she was angry?
All right, let's put it to the floor. So what do you do? She had this impression that she knew that children were being told that they needed to kill Christians.
They're being taught in the schools.
All right.
Yeah.
So what could we do? Anyone?
I think I would have gone back to what the woman had just said to you when she said, I know they say that in the school, so can you tell me where you heard that in the school? Reiterate back to her what it was that she was trying to say to you. It gives them the opportunity, it de-escalates it, plus it also allows them to give you another reason.
Excellent. Yes, you want to use these techniques. Understand their point of view, try to figure out, first off, how sure they are about these things, and have them explain to you in great detail without skipping any steps. It's like, what are the motivations for the school in saying that they should kill people who are paying for the school? And see what their answers are, and don't be dismissive of their answers. There may be some logic in there, and it may not be based in fact, but there's logic in there, and you could explore that. Right? Anyone else? Yes.
Question and a comment. My question is, do you think that there's true equivalence between conservative media and liberal media in terms of truth telling? And my comment is, if we went to a parliamentary system where we have 5 parties instead of 2, American politics is very binary, makes it more difficult, and it's very limiting. I think of British Parliament, where the Tories and the Conservatives openly debate, and there are 3 or 4 more parties that have to form coalitions to achieve government. They can only do that by communicating and compromising. What happens to the model?
Okay, so there's 2 very separate questions. The first question is there equivalent to right-wing media in the left? Absolutely there is. So if you look at Fox versus MSN, both of them are very opinionated, very, very loose with their facts.
Truth-telling, not opinions, truth-telling.
All right, so now most of the programming is opinion. So they might have an hour in each day for each of those channels, but the rest of it is opinion masked as fact. So there are extreme left and extreme right media. The part of the reason why the liberal mind is harder to corral.
You can tell by my T-shirt. I have the flag, but I'm not. I'm very liberal.
So no. It's harder to. If you look at the number of people who go out to vote in Democratic elections versus Republicans who go out, you'll see that the Republicans are more unified, and the Democrats tend not to be. Democrats, partly because the Newt Gingrich said, okay, we need to focus on conservative-minded people and indoctrinate them. So the Democrats said, okay, we'll take everyone else. So now the liberal-minded people are going to be thinking, okay, this is the way you're telling me to do it, so I must do it this way. They are very much not into doing things as they're told, but rather charting their own path, thinking different ways of doing it. Nonconformist. Now that is liberal-minded as opposed to liberal politics. Liberal politics, you can say, all right, civil rights, awesome, whatever, name 5 issues. And if you are driven to fear, you're going to be locked in those same positions for the rest of your life, no matter what the situation changes. That is conservative-minded, but liberal politics. Okay? So that's one of the reasons why you have different turnout for one versus the other, and why we have more right-wing media that duplicates each other versus left-wing media. All right. Next question: parliamentary. So now parliamentary forces usually form caucuses to vote as a pack. If you are, say, Putin, and you want to reduce the power of Western nations, then you want to create nationalism and isolationism. So you saw that in Britain, they were able to do that and have the Brexit, right? So having multiple parties helps, it doesn't solve things. Right. Sure.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm just wondering, because, at the beginning you were talking about, the difference between conservatism and liberalism, just as a general premise. So what's happened is it's like the bell curve just spun around the other corner, because, you think the preservation of institutions would be important to a conservative. So, and there's nothing that shows that better than Doge, where, it's just cutting off institutions at the knees rather than really reforming within those institutions. So, but selling it as a bill of goods, that it's reforming the institution. And I don't, I'm not even sure where I want to go with this, but how do we, that's a tough nut to crack, because it's almost like we talked about, you started the talk off with, that, initially, Republicanism was the party of Lincoln, of course we're for, freeing the slaves, and the Democrats not so much, and then migrated and just literally switched sides. So it just seems like it's more difficult because it's not staying within its lane. I think, generally speaking, I think progressives, we always are, we're kind of in the lane. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but I'm just wondering if you have any thoughts on how to, is it even worth it to frame it as conservatism? Or is this a whole nother animal that we're dealing with, and that maybe we're doing a disservice to our own comprehension of it by thinking of it as liberal and conservative? Does that make sense? Is my question making sense? Okay.
So absolutely it is helpful, and at the same time unhelpful to put labels on things. If you're going to manipulate conservative people, you have to rewrite history. So in this particular case, they're saying, okay, the world was great back when government was small. How small was it? Now there's no exact date. Because if they had an exact date, you have to say, okay, what bad things were going on back then? So you have to be vague. So they say, back in the day, we had no income tax, right? We also had no military. We had a volunteer military. Everything was based on tariffs. And he's like, oh, tariffs are good. All right, so there's ways of taking the agenda that you want and cherry-picking parts of history, rewriting them, and saying that was a time when America was great. And this is why, Make America Great Again resonates so well with conservative-minded people. It's because they see problems in the world. We see, people dying on the news every night. And, they think of a time when, they see June Cleaver or whatever. The time was good when I was younger. And this, by the way, times are better when I was young, has been going on for hundreds of years. Everyone, every American culture, most cultures in general, an older person, looks back in the past and says, things aren't as bad as they were, when I was young, because they choose to remember the positive things. Any other questions? Yes. Oh, do you have running out of time?
No, we're good.
Okay.
I'm sorry, we'll get to you, but Deb, I know I had your hand up a couple questions ago. Do you still have a question?
It had to do with the responding to the thing of this and stuff. That's okay.
So I'm sorry.
I have a question. Could you address the issue of cognitive dissonance with brainwashing?
So please redefine cognitive dissonance.
What was that?
Please define cognitive dissonance, because it has been redefined by some organizations. So I want to hear your definition.
Well, what I'm hearing is it's very complicated how you could brainwash people, how Republicans are brainwashing them to think. We have to have that certain kind of mindset, I guess, because people with a normal cognitive function, when they hear these lies, you know lies, and you walk away. So you have to have some kind of dysfunction to believe this stuff to begin with. And so I guess that's the cognitive dissonance and how they rationalize believing.
So the way that they become potential victims is by saying, I should know better. We all feel that way. And yet we don't. And that's the problem. So it may not be caught by, they might not catch you in the first lie, but they will give you a whole bunch of different stuff. A lot of it is the truth from a different perspective. That's one of the best ways of convincing people, is to tell them the truth, but a different perspective. Like, say, for example, I'm a mass murderer, right? By what I'm wearing, as we said in the beginning, right? It is truth. People have died because I chose not to give this money to starving people. That's truth. Do I deserve to be murdered right now? Most people would say no. But from a different perspective, absolutely. So if you talk to people who are starving to death and they see me walking around, I'm wearing my new shirt. I'm evil as all hell. Right? Make sense? So if you think you can't be brainwashed, you're wrong. We can all be brainwashed, including me. I've done all this training. I can still be brainwashed. Other questions? Fun. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to this episode. To get involved, please visit indivisible.org to find our Lehigh Valley Bethlehem chapter. You can also see videos on our YouTube channel for Indivisible Lehigh Valley Bethlehem. Stay tuned for future podcast episodes.